already talked about fan games for a bit. Well, it feels like it, but in reality, it's just been 1 month. Yes, PVZ Fusion is a fan game. I'm tired of people calling it a mod when in reality, it really isn't. Anyways, some of you guys have requested PVZ Travel. It didn't win my poll, but don't worry, I'll be playing that game too. I'm surprised not many people have talked about this game, but it came out a long time ago in 2016. It was made by a group of students named the Jiangnan Game Group. There's a lot of content to unpack here. There are more than 100 levels, and a whole different storyline in comparison to games like PVZ 1 or 2. And a lot of newer plants and zombies. It doesn't necessarily break the PVZ formula compared to games like Aurora or Mis Amigos, but it stays true to what the first game originally was. This game is great, but enough yapping, let's get straight into it, shall we? So a little fun fact before anything, but the game can actually be played online. I think that's pretty neat, as you can play this game wherever you want, as long as you have a laptop. So if you're bored in the middle of class, you can pull up PVZ Travel and enjoy yourself. That's pretty neat. Gardenless has something similar where you're able to play the game online as well. I wonder if they're created from the same engine. But yeah, the game runs mostly the same as it does if you download it, so that's pretty cool. Apart from that, let's start from the beginning. We'd start with home. It seems that we're going on a trip with Crazy Dave where we first stop at Bird's Forest. It's very traditional PVZ gameplay. You collect sun, go against basic zombies. You may notice that yes, the animation is a little stiff and the quality isn't exactly perfect. But this is a game made by a group of students. It's good enough in my opinion, and there's still charm to the art style. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't have to get used to it. Just look at the pea shooter shooting animation. Some designs and concepts can be a little strange as well. The pointy choke looks like that, but it's animated very smoothly compared to some other plants, which is kind of funny. It's just an Endurian but green. Another thing I noticed that for some reason when you speed the game up, the animations don't really follow the speed. So the zombies can be moving pretty fast at 3 times speed once you set it to that set speed, but the animation is still the default pace. I had to get used to that as well. Most levels in the beginning, like I said, are very traditional. Simple gameplay. Another little fun fact in this game is that Repeater and Pea Shooter gave birth to Split Pea. Okay, I'm glad I know that now, I guess. We're introduced to newer plants as well, like the Apoys, which are useless. They're meant to be, but they look silly. Yeah, I don't have too much to say about these first 15 levels. There's some newer plants like the ones I mentioned before, the Rotoradish who shoots in a range of 4 tiles, or a spinning zombie that completely obliterates your defense plants but has fairly low health. There's not much to it necessarily. I will say that the levels are very fast. They're less than 2 minutes, or at least it feels that way, so get ready for very rushed levels. I'm not sure whether or not to complain about it because it's not like this is a rich corporation making this game. But it does mean you'll definitely have to keep an eye out as zombies come in way faster in comparison to something like the first PVZ. Apart from that, what does stand out are the mirror levels. These take place in the mirror world with a creature that looks horrifying. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a big eyeball or what, but it's named the Arbiter. It's created by Zomboss to be an expansion or alternate of the original world. These are meant to be harder levels. Levels are already rushed, so you can imagine how many zombies there are in these mirror dimensions. There's even crystals that steal sun, which are incredibly annoying because they steal them really fast. But supposedly you're supposed to unlock more plants and come back to this mirror world, so that's what I did. The second night level is when the story changes up a bit. Zomboss talks a lot about game protagonists and game characters, almost like he's self-aware, before Crazy Dave starts glitching for some reason and the convo ends. That's really strange. It's also the same night that introduces barrel zombies, which animation-wise are great. The game goes back and forth from meh animation to great animation. Anyway, night 3 comes and Crazy Dave is dead. Okay, he's not actually dead, but he's tweaking. Supposedly, this is the It's About Travel machine malfunctioning. This is clearly referencing the game's title, and Zomboss references programmers. He really is much more self-aware than I thought he would be. I kinda love the fourth wall breaking route that this game is taking. It's different, and I'm curious to see where this leads. We learned in night 4 that the world crashed, and Crazy Dave was kicked out of his own body, or quote-unquote sprite he calls it. In the other world, someone else took Dave's body. This person's almost trying to convince himself that he is Dave, or he's just confused. He knows what's going on, and the premise of the game in general, so could this be someone from our world that took Dave over? Who knows? What we do know is that we're also introduced to the Rave Zombie, who's also from the Great Wall game from a bunch of years ago. That's pretty neat. I love when obscure zombies or plants are added. She goes invisible sometimes, but she becomes visible for some time as well. She can still be damaged when she's invisible, unlike the original game she's from. We learn that the white void that the real Crazy Dave is in is a separate level file that Zomboss created. It's free from the time flow, it's an infinite void. This is pretty trippy. The Crazy Dave that isn't our real Dave is obviously pretty sketchy too. It's not like Zomboss isn't sketchy either though. There seems to be a key that he wants, which unlocks a particular place where Crazy Dave, the real Crazy Dave, experiments for his plants. I have a feeling this leads to something. Night 21 introduces the cigar zombie. He pretty much just explodes randomly. These zombies are very simple mechanically, which isn't a bad thing really, but I do notice that there's not much counters to them. Specifically at least. There's not really any consistency for when you receive plants through progression. But none of that matters because the cigar zombie looks really cool. We're also introduced to two laboratory plants. The Abritelon and Pumpkin. We know how the pumpkin works and they sanded him. He looks so smooth now. I really like Abritelon's design. She's so cute. She creates a firefly tile that lasts 30 seconds, and zombies can take damage when they step on said tiles. Like the lava guava, but adorable. Now night 11, and I do believe that Crazy Dave, the fake one, is a child. Because he brings up a road trip with his parents. He's definitely losing it though. He's in denial and believes he got in a car accident and now he's dreaming. I wonder if he becomes the big bad of this game. After that night though, I unlocked the Spore Shroom. It looks like Puff Shroom and Fume Shroom had a baby. This is definitely among my favorite of the PVZ travel exclusive plants. Issamon's Puff Shroom guards around him and attacks zombies. But the next cutscene, it's entirely different. It involves Dave. We don't know which one, but we can assume the fake one. But there's one thing that he said that's really weird. Quote, Dave turns his face away. Maybe he was just overly nervous before. It's okay, it was just an accident. It's okay, this lake won't kill anyone. But he feels that the moment he steps forward, he will fall into an endless abyss and forget his own existence. Until his foot lands on a shallow puddle, and he finally regains consciousness. Walk one more step forward, and you will be able to enter the 13th night you have been longing for. If you don't move forward, this mysterious person speaking eggs you on. They want you to move forward, to take that step. We don't know why, we don't know what would happen, but I decided not to take the chance. If you try to go back though, the screen is filled with the game calling you a coward. And boom, on to the next level. To give context on what that weird message meant, the other Dave tried to go into the lake, and Zomboss, who supposedly isn't the real Zomboss, or at least that's what it's implying, saved him. That's pretty dark. I assumed the fake Dave would go crazy and become evil, but turns out he just tried to kill himself. Okay. Zomboss retrieves an IP address from the real world and finds out it's from a hospital in London. He brings up the lake again and starts freaking out, mentioning how he, I'm assuming the fake Dave, is unconscious in real life.
I'm extremely confused.
But I'm seated. I'm very seated. Night 15, the last night, really shows that this game does have a problem with spamming zombies. A severe problem. Hopefully, it isn't like this all the time throughout the game. But yeah, after the last level, we unlock the Bam Boom, which explodes in a 3x3 area when zombies get close. We figure out more on why this random guy, whoever he is, becomes Dave in the first place. I think the translation makes it a little harder to understand, but Zomboss claims that he was sent into a hole that was created for the program when it crashed. Probably when Crazy Dave started glitching out a bit ago, where he was loaded into Dave's sprite. He starts freaking out again, naturally so, and says one more thing. Something about other things being real. But what? Night 16 is normal. I was worried for a second that the swarms of zombies from the last night would be here, but what the fake Dave says as he's freaking out afterwards really puts everything together. Quote, how on earth can someone fall from a lake into a video game? Meaning that his attempt led him to where he is now? If it was an attempt, I mean. And that's a lot of things that happen in the game are identical to similar events in real life. What on earth is going on? And that's when we get a cutscene. Quote, on the bridge. It was early in the morning and the street lights were broken. But if the front lights were turned on, you could have still seen part of the traffic. The truck didn't have its headlights on at all, and it hit us when we were switching lanes. When that truck hit us from the side, a rollover happened. A little bit of an interesting detail, but the truck driver looks a lot like the man in The Scream by Van Gogh. It's on purpose since the overview of the map shows a starry night. Anyway, he continues, and during the rollover, you can see a wine bottle from the passenger seat flying out of the window. A drunk truck driver is associated with the car accident that fake Dave mentioned before, but how does this connect to him being stuck in the game in the first place? Whatever. We have to do some walnut bowling. Hell yeah. We unlocked a wine bottle afterwards, which I thought was hilarious. Did we really just unlock the bottle of the truck driver that could have possibly killed fake Dave's entire family? Level 33 is just straight up very difficult. I feel like you don't really unlock many plants. When you finish levels, you typically get stars or wine now, which I wish I could drink. The gameplay is still pretty fun. They've seemed to keep the fake Dave in a room alone because, understandably so, he's angry. Very angry. Which isn't good because this fake Dave might have control of the entire world. It makes sense, like Zomboss says, but the light bulb and wine bottle, the ones we unlock, there's no way these were originally included in a Plants vs Zombies game. It's very trippy to see the PVZ title in the game from a character in the video game. The fourth wall is completely demolished at this point. We unlocked the Doom Shroom, and it seems like the reason why we do unlock it is because it's associated with fake Dave's anger. That's actually awesome how they connect the gameplay with the story. There's a Doom Shroom minigame that we play where you have to blow a bunch of zombies with Doom Shrooms. This is a level that I can understand why it would have a bunch of zombies. It's really satisfying to blow up groups of zombies with Doom Shroom. I love Doom Shroom, he's literally the GOAT. Nothing really happens in the next few nights. They're a bit of a challenge, but I gotta say, it's not purely because of zombie spam. It's not bad level design at all. There's just harder zombies, which in my opinion isn't bad because just as long as you have a strategy, the best sun producers, the best defense plans, etc., you'll be okay. 923 on the other hand is a pretty fun level that involves rave zombies and more walnut bowling. Since the rave zombies are invisible, you have to wing it. So I just send walnuts on every row in hopes that I wouldn't lose. When I lost one lawnmower, I mostly targeted that lane in particular since like every other level, the level passed by pretty fast enough to not be too much of a problem. Afterwards though, there's another cutscene that's really interesting. So, what's his condition? As you see, even after suffering from trauma, this kid passed out due to anorexia caused by great stimulation of his nervous system. Yet it's clear that his nerves are still highly active even when in a coma, although he still didn't wake up for some reason. Maybe he's suffering from PTSD. Maybe there's some imagery in his brain that's causing these reactions while the nerves are active. Or maybe he was affected by the constant intrusion of traumatic memories. Or, rather than being in a coma, it might be better to say that he's stimulated by PTSD from a place far from here. I believe this is a doctor speaking about the fake Dave, in the hospital in London, who's in a coma of some kind after the car accident. Those last words do imply that this game could be part of his imagination, made up from his PTSD, whatever, I'm not too sure. The last level of Firefly Swamp is actually a boss battle. You viewers by now should know that I actually love bosses. But this boss, I mean, it's interesting, but a little difficult. It starts off with a normal conveyor level and then suddenly a huge Zomboss train comes in. It mostly just sends in waves of zombies, explodes plants, and summons a bunch of football zombies in a row. That's really all there was to it. So, now we have ice levels. The plants did not freeze at all. They were mostly just chilling, no pun intended, but there is an ice hole gimmick, where there's holes on the ground that you can remove using a plant called the Befrozenia. But it can also become a defense plant if it planted somewhere that isn't a hole. I actually like that this plant isn't purely just a gimmick plant, but it can be defensive as well. On the 42nd day, you're introduced to the skating zombie. She'll skate 3 tiles forward when she touches an ice hole, and then she can ignore plants rather than chewing on them. Turns out the boss before was not Zomboss, but rather a Zomboss created from the fake Dave's emotions. It's really interesting that this game is shaped by fake Dave's emotions. The wine bottle, the Doom Shroom, now this boss. The original Zomboss created a machine where the operator being fake Dave, controls the world through his consciousness. Like how the past levels in the forest and the swamp are based on his memories. So now, they have to distract fake Dave so he doesn't go crazy, and who knows what would happen then. Day 5, we're introduced to one new plant and one new zombie. The Peppercopter, which I think is so cute looking. You can place him on top of other plants and it'll shoot projectiles like a normal pea shooter. Then, the Ice Cutter zombie. It can instantly destroy any plant it touches, which is very annoying if you have defense plants by the way, and it will leave an ice hole. Turns out, the admin privilege that fake Dave has comes from a brain-computer interface which allows his consciousness to reach the deeper parts of the game, writing the code of whatever's on his mind. After this discussion, this leads to the fake Dave trying to imagine something. He thinks of a drink that he's drunk with his family. leading to him creating an aloe vera plant by the name of Winter Aloe, a really powerful ice plant that can lob splash ice projectiles towards zombies. We're also introduced to the magical icing zombie, which for every tile he walks, he can cast a spell that will transform any plant into an apoi. The apoi is a useless apple-looking plant that does absolutely nothing. So yeah, you can imagine that you wouldn't want that to happen. I gotta say, for now this world definitely has more creative plants and zombies compared to the other world before. There's a new topic that sparks up between Real Dave and Zomboss, where Zomboss implies that there could be someone helping fake Dave control the world in the first place. But who? Could it be a family member, a doctor? I don't know. We don't find out. Anyway, not only are the plants and zombies creative, but the game modes are as well. Day 10 is all about a score system rather than progressing. You have to kill a certain amount of zombies to win, which I like. It's different and not repetitive. Afterwards, you unlock the Imitator, which is 100 sun. I thought Imitator would match whatever sun cost a plant is. Well, turns out, Imitator turned into a random plant into your deck. Yeah, I'm definitely not using him. I hate RNG plants. He's even self-aware that he's all about RNG in the almanac in the first place. Day 11 is completely bugged. I keep clicking it and it didn't work at all. Awkward. You're supposed to unlock the solar tropa afterwards, which produces little sun when its projectiles hit zombies. Not just a solar tropa, but you're also introduced to two new laboratory plants as well. The Miracle Imitator and the Jalapeno. The Miracle Imitator is definitely unique. It deals damage to zombies that chew on him, but once it's eaten, it will transform into a random laboratory plant. Another RNG plant. Don't know how to feel about that. The reason why I don't like RNG plants in the first place is because I'm a very strategic person. So when I place down a plant that I have no idea what it will do, it's a 50-50. And I don't really want to take those kinds of chances typically. Then there's night 16. They switch it up and made it nighttime. I don't know if this is on purpose, but you can use mushrooms in the daytime, and Puffshroom never disappears. Meaning you can use him the entire game if you really wanted to. Anyway, night 16 introduces the Zamboni. It makes sense why he's in this world, but I think it would have been great if the ice trap would let the skating zombies skate faster. Night 17 involves a chilling wind, and a lot of zombie spam. The levels where they fill the screens to the brim with harder zombies definitely keeps me on my toes. The game unfortunately continues being incredibly stubborn and spammy zombies sometimes. But then there's another cutscene. Look, what's this? It looks crystal clear, like a little ice sculpture growing under a tree. It's a ghost plant, a herbaceous plant that usually grows in forest. When did you learn that? Wait, you just copied the whole thing from Wikipedia. Haha, I did look it up before, but it isn't until now that I get to see this with my own eyes. Compared to when I was just staying at home and seeing these plants in games, it feels, whoa, don't step on it. What? It's just a little flower. Aren't these plants just more or less similar to those in video games? It's not like where these small plants live or die matter much to us anyway. Like that ghost plant, it just looks good and that's about it. But that doesn't give you a reason to destroy it. Come on, its life has no meaning, don't make a big deal out of it. Besides, the roots are still there, so it'll just grow a new one that's good as new. You know, like being reborn in a video game. Wink wink. Anyway, it cuts back to Zomboss and the Real Dave, where we found out the fake Dave jumped into a lake. Again. Once he gets out, he's obviously freezing cold. He might have jumped in with the hopes that he would wake up back in his world. May 3rd, Zomboss and Real Dave are planning something. We don't know what, but whatever it is, it'll give Crazy Dave his body back. Night 20 was actually pretty fun as it involved a bunch of rave zombies and you couldn't place certain plants in a set path. But night 21 was more spam. Yay. Turns out the plan is to crash the game by filling it with data, creating an artificial hole in reality, which would send him back and he would have been able to restore the data of the Real Dave and Zomboss after the crash. But now, since the game's content is no longer what it once was, it will be harder to restore, meaning everything could be destroyed. That's not very good. On night 23, we're introduced to the Kiwi Beast from PVZ 2. He's a beast in this game. See what I did there? So I'll definitely be using him a lot as he grows in size pretty fast and can knock zombies back. So he's really useful in apprehending those stronger zombies, which this game loves sending over a lot. The fake Dave's just losing it, or at least he's nearing a bad path. He even calls us out. You only chase after things that are part of the mainstream. Desperate for fame and attention, and when they get milked to death, you just move on to look for the next spotlight. Just like this game, The golden era of Plants vs. Zombies has long declined. It won't have any good sequels, and soon it'll just end up as just a small cameo game. I mean, wow, the fact that this aged well is very unfortunate. What is even more unfortunate is that Fake Dave is really starting to see himself as a god. The idea of destroying the entire world though means Zomboss and real Dave aren't exactly getting along. All Zomboss cares about is getting Fake Dave out of this world. He doesn't care whether or not all the plants and zombies die. I understand both sides, but I wonder why does Zomboss care so much? The next cutscene's really creepy. It involves Zomboss staring at a train, just standing there. But it isn't a real train, it's mainly a metaphor. He feels like it's a train that doesn't stop. He's worried that when Fake Dave goes back, he might not go back with a peace of mind. Who is Zomboss to this Fake Dave? Because he clearly cares a lot about him. In the end, you'd also be hurting those who are close to you. Those willing to approach you. Those who listen to you. As hatred is always your only response. What did I do wrong? Why did it become like this? The last level is another boss which is pretty neat. It's an owl. He can freeze your plants into ice blocks, send chilling winds, and send in a lot of zombies. Thankfully, the conveyor gives you a crap ton of explosives, so you should be more than fine to be honest. Doom Shrooms and Bambooms carry this level pretty hard. Anyway, once you beat Zomboss, we find out the Fake Dave found a way to enter the White Void, which was protected by Zomboss' firewall. This obviously hurts his feelings because they were plotting behind his back. Is it so simple that all they can think about is trying to keep the simplicity of the game, where it's just literally Plants vs. Zombies? This leads to him developing a literal god complex, and he sends us to this weird level. The reward level? Where you can't click any plants, you're just there. A Zamboni is sent, and you can't do anything. You try to grab the shovel, it's gone. Try to leave the game, you can't. The Zamboni moves closer and closer, and then boom, it explodes. Now these levels, if it's not obvious by the title, are levels covered in fog. And my goodness, was level 1 difficult. There's way too much zombie spam, and I have no idea what they were thinking when making this level, not gonna lie. I don't know if this is a skill issue, but this level was just really difficult. Anyway, Fake Dave is being a meanie head. He says, "Took all you nerds and idiots who stare at your own darn screens all day long, waiting for new PVZ content, how pitiful." Hey, that's not very nice. I am a PVZ nerd, but still. But yeah, this leads to quite a creative level. Fake Dave covers the entire lawn with fog, and you have one singular lantern that you can move around using the WASD keys. It was definitely one of my favorite levels with how unique it is. It is a little nerve-wracking when you can't see certain sides, but I kinda like that. It's challenging, but not annoyingly challenging like the first level was. Fake Dave afterwards continues to call me out. Hey, why aren't you bored with this already? What do you even gain from a tower defense game? Is it satisfying? Is it great being a PVZ fan? Do you even feel fun playing the game anymore? It's fun to play this game, but it's definitely not great being a PVZ fan, I'll say that. I still can't believe that there'd be people still willing to play any PVZ mod that comes out, and even waste hours of their life trying to beat stupid Kaizo levels. But I can't be bothered to play this kind of game multiple times. The pacing is so slow, the art looks weird, and the levels are just boring. I cannot tell if the creator of this game is a PVZ fan or a PVZ hater. It's a really self-aware game, but it almost feels weirdly aggressive. Day 4 introduces the statues. They're pretty much like graves. Plants like cabbage potes would be able to throw projectiles over them. Or you can destroy them faster using a plant like Fume Shroom. This level was difficult, but not as hard as the first one. Thankfully I didn't have to restart this level. Afterwards, we get a new cutscene. You did well on the test, so as promised, you name it, you can buy anything you want. Then... Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. We're very busy with work, we need more money to support our family, and time isn't on our side. I understand. But as long as you can maintain your scores, I'm sure we'll eventually be able to buy whatever you want. Maybe it can make up for us not having enough time for you. Then I want... and it ends. This is obviously a conversation between a child and a parent, but we don't know what the significance is to it. Not yet, at least. This is obviously meant to be Fake Dave as a child with maybe his family member or something. Speaking of the Fake Dave admits that he's made this world harder than the others, which... no wonder level 1 was so difficult. Does this mean I can't judge the level design if it's meant to be this hard for the story? Now I'm conflicted. He straight up tells me to quit the game if it's too hard for me, so now I gotta prove him wrong. Day 5 introduces a zombie associated with the statue gimmick, where he pushes statues forward. He's pretty annoying, but for once, Cabbage Boat is actually useful as, like I mentioned, he can avoid the statues. Then, Fake Dave starts talking to us, and I don't think anything of it until I get an error? But turns out, it was a trick. He continues to think he's God. You will never be the center of this virtual world, but I am. Talk about delusional. Anyway, he introduces these bug machine zombies that he hates because he reminds him of the car accident. But these bug machines are insufferably strong. You have to depend on instants or spike weeds because any other attack plant you have most likely will not kill it. It does stop every now and then, but once a screen is filled with them, you might be a little screwed. But here's the more interesting part. There's a raining seed level and the translation makes one dialogue option really weird. But you see, I'm a black person guy now. Ignoring that though, Crazy Dave asks a pretty valid question. What exactly happened in the few days before he jumped into the lake? What did he discover? What did they do? Whatever they are. They combined the Raining Seeds minigame with a score system. It was a really fun level. Was a lawn full of difficult zombies? Yeah, but it's entertaining. The next level is amped difficulty wise. I understand it's on purpose, but that doesn't mean it doesn't get any less annoying, especially when you're a casual player. But you know what works? Explosive plants. Or use solar troubles too to get a lot of sun. We also get a dive into Dave's mind afterwards. How he feels lonely, and it makes sense. We don't see many humans in Naperville. At the end of the day, he is alone, and having his body stolen and realizing he's a video game character isn't exactly the best thing to hear either. Day 10 introduces a stacked plant by the name of Bombshroom. It's a mushroom plant that can knock zombies back and deal heavy damage. It easily kills those beetle zombies. I'm definitely taking advantage of this plant at this point. But supposedly, this plant was created from leftover code back in the forest, which makes it stand out from other plants, as it also was not created by Fake Dave either. That's pretty interesting. Crazy Dave continues to feel lonely. He even wished us, the player, had been part of the game. How we're not just here to fight zombies, but we're also here for him too. I mean, I am here to fight zombies, but yeah, sure Dave, I'm here for you, buddy. Yeah, he's afraid that once he stops giving gameplay hints, like he's supposed to, we won't care anymore. Which is sad. I think it's us that tries to talk to him and encourage him. I'm not sure who else it could be that's talking right now, but after some more awful zombie spam, we enter another cutscene that's pretty weird. It involves a Fake Dave on his knees in front of a tree. I don't get it. If he thinks that way, what does it have to do with us? Like what you did to me, being immersed in false hope. Only to realize the harsh truth at the very end, and then it's all too late. I guess I'll just let you handle it when the time comes. Do you need me to come over, make a scene to put pressure on them, or... Is he talking to the tree? For context, he's talking about Zomboss' plan to find something that he can retrieve, to possibly time travel and stop Fake Dave from entering Crazy Dave's body in the first place. Or that's what I think is going on. But who is Dave talking to? The tree? Who is the tree if he's talking to it? There's also a Black Mirror episode, to the USS Callister. I love Black Mirror, so this actually surprised me, especially when the USS Callister episode is one of my favorites. But yeah, we play a Vasebreaker level. I'm glad that some of these levels involve traditional PVZ minigames like Raining Seeds before, and now this. This level was surprisingly really easy and quick. I thought it'd be at least 3 rounds of it or something. But we need more time for lore, I suppose. We're back to Dave talking to the tree. He mentions a place to go to avoid whatever's going on outside, whether it's a drunk driver or arrogant netizens. He's obviously talking about going to the tree. How he's lost everything, how he has no sympathy, and how he wants to make those 2 NPCs, Dave and Zomboss, bow before him. Uh-oh. I know the Black Mirror reference has to have some sort of significance. For context, the USS Callister episode is all about a man who copies a person's DNA and brings their consciousness into a game to torture them and take his anger out on them. This could be connected to Fake Dave's consciousness being in the game, but I don't really know. Day 15 looks like a last stand level that looks impossible to beat with how many zombies there are. Use Bamboom or Doomshroom, and I think you should be fine. There is a point where it gets super hard, but when it calms down, it's a really quick level. Now, Crazy Dave and Fake Dave are now standing face to face. And Crazy Dave speaks. As I thought, you weren't too happy about staying in that sad place, huh? Over here seems like the place with the most trees in the city. It's like your style, right? I heard someone say that you never really liked crowded cities with many buildings. You felt the city was depressing, yet you've been living in it all your life. You know, maybe I'm not a fan of these crowded cities either. I haven't really been anywhere outside of my house for a while now. And I'm just a stupid NPC, not capable of basic daily conversation. Before this, it was just me throwing some probably pretty awesome one-liners at my neighbor. Even now, I'm probably still beating around the bush. All in all, I'm sorry. I guess this means that both Daves are in good terms now. At least I hope so. We're introduced to 2 new laboratory plants. The Impel Crest, which fires homing projectiles that deal high damage to close-range zombies, and the Macintosh Apoy, which can generate 8-bit Apoys to defend against zombies. Hey, that Macintosh Apoy might be the most creative plant yet. I honestly love it. We're also introduced to a robber zombie that comes from behind and starts stealing plants. We literally have no counter to these zombies. They come from behind and you're cooked. There's nothing you can do about it, which is very obnoxious. There's also a cutscene that completely flashes you without warning. I like the cutscenes and all, but I feel like this game is really ignorant because someone could be epileptic. But yeah, they start freaking out about how someone's head is bleeding and his health is interactive with the game itself. And since Fake Dave is declining, there's dark storms now, and levels are getting harder. And when they mean hard, they mean hard. I try to use instant plants and it doesn't work at all. And thunderstorms darken so quickly that I can barely see what's happening in the lawn. What I did is I decided not to use any instant plants. I used just one, but only because I really had to. How this level works is that every time you use an instant plant, the zombies get tougher. I still lost a crap ton of mowers because, you know, spam. But thank goodness I was able to beat it where we unlock a photo? This is where we're introduced to a cell phone, where we can check Fake Dave's history and search results to see what led him up to where he is now. Most of the items by themselves don't really do anything except for the USS Callister one, where it leads us to an article about a study of adolescent internet addiction. There is a comment where a mother speaks about a disobedient child that has no manners and doesn't do very well in exams. Could this be Fake Dave's mother? We also figure out a lot through combinations. Like how Fake Dave's parents were actually both dead by the accident, and supposedly, the truck driver was not drunk? What could have possibly happened then? We get an excerpt. I don't know the context yet, but it's part of an essay on Man by Alexander Pope. It's meant to show the reasoning that morality and order turns chaotic. For a PVZ game, getting pretty deep. Then we reach the final battle of Foggy City. And this is no ordinary boss. It involves 5 conveyors that can send in vases, whether it's zombies or plants. Maybe some fog. I was doing really good until the game suddenly did the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It sends in a bunch of statues and a bunch of ice holes, and it takes away practically all my plants. I lost because, you know, I couldn't place anything. Yeah, that was it for Foggy City though. Okay, this world starts off and it's already getting pretty deep. We get this cutscene that's really eerie. The graphics are low quality, but it's not in a bad way. Personally, I think it's on purpose. The vibe can almost be considered unnerving. The realistic clouds, the birds, the weird branch, and what he says in this cutscene is interesting. The internet drama that occurred after the car accident, or maybe before. But yeah, Zomboss wants to create an alternative universe where we travel to a previous level and prevent the future him from rewriting the story. Time travel always makes things confusing. We're gonna see more on what he means later as I'm a little confused. But this world involves nostalgia. It's in the name, meaning we'll be playing in the basic PVZ lawn, but with some twists. For example, like how the first level went from a thunderstorm to a normal sunny day, or how the second level goes from daytime to nighttime. I do love this gimmick. How it switches from one gimmick to another, it really forces the player to lock in and change things up. But anyway, Fake Dave speaks to the tree again. What's there to panic about? It's all still within your plan. Eventually they'll become desperate. Where's all your rationality? Did that encounter where Dave change you? You couldn't stop him on day 1. The tree is talking about us. Yeah, this tree is pretty impressive power-wise. It's pretty much what's changing the time of day in these levels in the first place. Maybe the tree can control more. Can you continue to live in the way you want? In the way you can control. We have more creative levels, like the puddles where we can use lily pads. We even have some botany zombies. I'm really liking this world so far and how creative it could be. At least we're having fun. Cause Zomboss is back where the trains are, reminiscing over how when he was younger, it was way easier to let out his emotions. And now that he's older, it's harder. It's true, and this is important once we learn more about this Zomboss. Unfortunately though, it's pretty relatable for certain people. After a pretty fun level where zombies follow a specific water path, we unlock the Multipliosynth. It's a water plant that can love buds, but can also create more Multipliosynths. It can also become a melee fighter on land. I do like how creative this plant is. how it switches from one gimmick to the other depending on where it is, and how the fact that it duplicates makes this plant really useful. This time, we see Fake Dave in what I believe is a mirror speaking to Zomboss. Have you ever thought of just how creepily overly controlling you are? Stop acting like my dad. It makes me feel sick. Shouldn't you be the same Dr. Zomboss who had literally one line in the original game? Damn. Was this all your plan? Using the It's About Travel machine and inject all this parenting teaching rubberish into me? Do I look like a potential perfect child? So you know. What? Turns out you also know that you haven't lived up to my expectations, huh? It's not like you were being all emo, randomly throwing tantrums and getting mad, or even throwing insults at people ever since you got here. What's with all the, I want to live here forever, while there are still people out there who care about you? I've been tirelessly thinking about you, working on a solution that's best for you. All those efforts, all summed up as overly controlling? A lot of drama here clearly. I gotta say, I know I already praised this world, but I'm really liking these levels so far. Level 8 was really fun, and involved stalling zombies with ice shrooms and a similar path of water. I like that these levels aren't so overwhelming compared to before. Well, I say this now, but later on, it does get worse. Like you viewers know now, Zomboss is trying to travel back in time. He was getting somewhere until suddenly, Fake Dave redirected him into a courtroom? Yeah, like an ace attorney. You have to present certain items you've earned from the past to present to him. If you win and you make a good point, he lets you time travel. Which might take a bit if you have a small brain like me. He'll take you back to Firefly Swamp, day 17 to be specific, at first. Once you beat it, you'll get an error message where our access to traveling towards Aurora Icefield was denied. This is where you have to plead your case again. And once you do, that's when you're sent to Aurora Icefield. Then, the last trial, you show him that family photo you unlocked. And because of that, he gives us full time travel access, where we do a Foggy City facebreaker level. I understand why Fake Dave does not want to go back. I mean, what else does he have left really? But once we beat that level, we figure out we cannot change past events, which is why we have to go towards day 528,491, whatever that is. The tree speaks to Fake Dave once more. Time to execute our big plan. And something flashes on our screen. I know it's Fake Dave, but I have no idea what he's doing. The next cutscene is really strange. Very strange. In a good way. We see a train, and something about a father depositing money to let his son take a train to the city for college. And once he graduates, he's supposed to return to the village they stay out and help. There are scenes that flash that are way too quick to tell what they are, but after slowing them down, I can give you a breakdown of what's happening here. Supposedly, this boy wants to go out to the city and learn, thinking that farming, which is what they do in the village, won't go anywhere, so he wants to do something related to business. But his father tells him that if he leaves, he's no longer welcomed in the village. He does leave, but once he does, a bit later, his brother will text him telling him that his father is dying, and eventually, his father does die. Turns out, this person that left the village to pursue his career in business is a Zomboss we see now. No wonder we kept seeing cutscenes with him watching the train. This reveal generally gave me goosebumps, and I'm glad we got some sort of backstory to the character. Day 12 introduces a fusion mechanic. It's just a singular minigame. I guess every PVZ game's doing fusions now. So it involves placing a straight line of plants, and they combine to create a stronger one. You can even combine more plants than simply a straight line, and it'll give you more upgrades. It was pretty fun. It was entertaining to see what plants would transform once you combine them together. But the one-up bowling that I had to do 2 levels later, it was generally the most intense one-up bowling I've ever done in my life. We're introduced to a necromancer zombie that can heal surrounding zombies and throw magic beams down at whatever plant I planted last. Not just that, but there are also portals incorporated too. There was a moment where a group of football zombies were in a time loop. It was pretty funny. Once they were released from the loop, I exploded them immediately. We then get a cutscene that involves a nurse and a director. It's meant to showcase the cruelty that's happening in the hospital. How certain people favor the hospital's expenses than saving the child, Fake Dave's, life. It was also a way of showing Fake Dave that his body was still conscious and alive, but unfortunately the director of the said hospital is thinking about killing him. Okay, day 16 was a crazy level. It went from day to night to even fog. Portals, waterways, you name it. It felt like a final battle. It wasn't, but still. You get a cutscene though where Fake Dave and Crazy Dave talk. It's quite confusing, so get comfortable. Supposedly, the flash we saw before is Fake Dave, around items that we collected, but at the same time, it isn't him? He has a physical body, but he also has a subconscious mind. He wants to change the world after being bullied for so long, and so he created this system. It's the main core of the tree he's been talking to for so long, the Kabbalah Tree of Life. And here I thought he was going to be the villain, but I guess he isn't. On the next level, we're introduced to the Spirit Guardian Zombie. He's different from the other zombies, and he can connect zombies together, which makes him impossible to kill, and the only way he can be attacked is through fire from torchwood or planterns. I'm glad planterns are still useful. Fake Dave then tells us the first time he played PVZ, how his dad taught him to play, why he liked it so much, and it gives us more of a reasoning on why he enjoyed being in the world he's in now in the first place, and how he's so knowledgeable in it. I still wonder though how he got shoved in this PVZ game though. Is this an imagination while he's in a coma? Is this magic? What is it exactly? We do some iZombie in 919 though. Though like every other level, it does involve underworld paths and portals. I'm surprised I never played an iZombie with portals, because it really forces you to think ahead. Yeah, this was pretty difficult. 920 though, that's just insufferable. This level is just spam, spam, spam. A lot of zombies, a lot of graves, and you have to protect flowers. I always hated the don't cross the flowers or you lose games. Oh well. There's still more to this game, a lot more, but honestly, if I continue on in this video, we will be here for much longer, and this video is already pretty long. If it's not obvious, I'm gonna make a part 2, but for now, this game is packed with lore. There's still a lot I didn't cover, but it's crazy how self-aware this game is. It's crazy how intense this game is, but I love it lore-wise, I love it story-wise, and the characters are written great. Gameplay-wise, it's not bad either. Zombies are pretty creative and some of the plants are great too. It can be really difficult and I believe it's not for casual players, but I still think you guys should give it a try for yourself. Like and subscribe and comment, and I'll definitely make a part 2 eventually. That's about it. See ya.